There's a kind of suffering that doesn't show on the surface. It doesn't leave bruises. It doesn't make a sound. It happens quietly, in the mind. It's the endless replaying of moments that can't be changed. The constant worrying about things that haven't even happened. The mental noise that never stops, second-guessing every decision, every word, every silence. Overthinking. Most people don't even realize how much it drains them. It steals their peace, their sleep, their joy. And the worst part? They believe it's something they can't control, as if their own mind is turned against them. But nearly 2,000 years ago, a man who had nothing, no freedom, no wealth, no status, discovered how to break free from this mental prison. His name was Epictetus. Epictetus wasn't born a philosopher. He was born a slave. He couldn't choose what he ate, where he slept, or how he lived. His body belonged to someone else, but his mind? That was his own. And that's where his power began. He taught that freedom isn't about your circumstances, it's about your perception. You can be chained to a wall and still be free, or live in a palace and still be a prisoner. Because the real prison is not made of stone. It's made of thoughts. Think about it. How many times have you been trapped in your head, replaying a conversation from days ago, imagining what you should have said? How many nights have you stayed awake, worrying about a future that never arrived? We build these invisible cages with our own thoughts. We lock ourselves inside, believing that thinking more will somehow fix the problem. But the truth, and Epictetus knew this well, is that overthinking doesn't solve anything. It only multiplies the problem inside your mind. He once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." That means it's not reality that hurts us. It's our interpretation of it. It's the story we tell ourselves about what's happening. The same event can destroy one person and strengthen another, depending on how they choose to see it. Imagine a storm rolling across the sea. The waves crash, the wind howls. Two ships face the same storm. One captain panics. He curses the wind, fears the waves, and loses control. The other tightens his grip, adjusts the sails, and rides through it calmly. Same storm, different mindset. That's the essence of Epictetus' wisdom. You can't control the wind, but you can control the way you steer. In today's world, overthinking takes a new form. It's checking your phone every few minutes, scrolling endlessly because silence feels uncomfortable. It's overanalyzing a text, worrying if someone's tone changed, replaying a small mistake in your head like it defines who you are. It's wanting to act, but hesitating because the mind whispers, "What if it goes wrong?" Epictetus would say, that's where you lose your freedom. Because when your peace depends on things outside your control, like other people's opinions, outcomes, or the future, you become a slave to them. Epictetus taught his students a radical idea. Some things are in our control, and others are not. At first, it sounds simple, but if you really live by it, it changes everything. You can't control what people say. You can't control what happens tomorrow. You can't even control how others see you. But you can control how you respond. You can control your thoughts, your choices, your focus. That's where your freedom begins, inside the mind. Most of us spend our lives fighting battles we can't win, trying to control everything. We want people to like us. We want life to go exactly as we imagine. We want certainty in a world that offers none. But the more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more anxious we become. Because the mind, just like a clenched fist, can't stay tight forever. Eventually, it breaks. Epictetus knew that peace isn't found in control, it's found in acceptance. Seek not to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go smoothly. That doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting reality more than your fear. It means doing what you can, and letting go of what you can't. If you've ever sat alone, thoughts spiraling in circles, trying to think your way out of fear or uncertainty, you're not weak. You're human. The mind wants to protect you. It believes that by worrying, it can prevent pain. But worry doesn't prevent pain, it creates it. That's why Epictetus taught detachment, not in a cold or robotic way, but as a form of mercy, mercy for yourself. When you stop clinging to every thought, when you stop believing that every emotion needs to be controlled, you begin to breathe again. You begin to live. And that's where the real lesson begins. Epictetus didn't just talk about freedom, he lived it. He taught his students to master the art of letting go. Epictetus understood something most people today still don't. that overthinking isn't a thinking problem. It's a control problem. When we overthink, what we're really doing is trying to control what's beyond us. We want to control how people react. We want to predict every possible outcome before it happens. We want to make sure nothing ever hurts us again. But life doesn't work that way. And Epictetus, a man who lived through slavery, pain, and exile, realized the only way to find peace was to separate what's up to us from what's not. If you think about it, most of the pain in our minds comes from crossing that invisible line. You can't stop the storm, but you try. You can't make everyone like you, but you try. You can't control tomorrow, but you still try. And each time you do, your mind gets heavier, more anxious, more restless, until one day, you wake up and realize you've been fighting shadows. Epictetus taught that peace begins with clarity, and clarity begins when you can say, "This is mine to control. That is not." He once told his students, "When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it." That one idea, if truly lived, could change everything. Because once you understand that, overthinking loses its power. You stop wasting energy trying to rewrite the past or predict the future. You stop turning every thought into a battlefield. Instead, you focus on what's right here, the present moment, the only thing that's ever real. Imagine you're driving through fog. You can't see too far ahead. You don't know what's around the corner. If you panic, you'll crash. If you freeze, you'll never move forward. But if you slow down, breathe, and focus only on what's right in front of you, you'll make it through safely. That's what Epictetus taught about life. The fog is the future, unpredictable, uncontrollable. The road is your path, your choices, your thoughts, your actions. Stay calm, steer clearly, and you'll reach where you're meant to go. Many of us fear letting go because we think it means not caring. But Stoicism was never about apathy. It was about wisdom. It's about caring deeply for the right things. You can care about doing your best, but not about whether people approve. You can care about speaking your truth, but not about whether they listen. You can care about loving fully, but not about being loved back the same way. Because when your peace depends on someone else's reaction, you've already lost it. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Those weren't just words for Epictetus, they were survival. There's a story that says one of Epictetus's masters once twisted his leg violently, and when the bone finally broke, Epictetus simply said, "I told you it would break." No anger, no hatred, just acceptance. He couldn't control the cruelty. He couldn't control the pain, but he could control his mind, and that was enough. Now, imagine that kind of strength today, when someone insults you online, or when life throws something unexpected your way. Imagine not reacting with panic or anger, but with calm understanding. This is not mine to control. That's Stoicism. That's freedom. So how do we apply this? How do we stop overthinking in the real world, in our daily lives? Epictetus would say, start with awareness. Whenever you feel your mind spiraling, pause and ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. Is this in my control or not? 2. If it's not, why am I fighting it? 3. If it is, what can I do, right now, without overthinking it? This alone will change your relationship with your thoughts. Because once you separate what's controllable from what isn't, most of your mental noise disappears. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means seeing clearly without emotional fog. Epictetus compared life to a banquet. When a plate passes your way, take some modestly. If it passes you by, don't reach for it. Wait for your turn. That's how he lived. Calmly, gracefully, detached from obsession. Now think about your life. How often do you reach, desperately, for what's not yours yet? For validation, love, success, certainty? That reaching, that clinging, is where overthinking begins. Because when you need something too badly, your mind starts creating stories about how to get it, how to keep it, how to never lose it. And those stories become your prison. Sometimes, the most courageous act isn't fighting harder. It's letting go. Not out of weakness, but because you've realized what's meant for you doesn't need to be chased. And that's when your thoughts begin to quiet. When you stop trying to predict everything, life starts unfolding naturally again. In today's world, overthinking feels almost normal. We're overstimulated. Too much information. Too many opinions. Too many comparisons. We've become addicted to thinking, as if the more we analyze, the more control we'll have. But Epictetus would remind us, control doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from understanding more. And understanding comes from silence. He said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Notice he didn't say, think about it endlessly. He said do. Because at some point, reflection must turn into action. Otherwise, thought becomes a trap. Overthinking often hides fear. Fear of loss, fear of judgment, fear of failure. But fear loses its power the moment you face it directly. Epictetus faced everything life could take and still found peace. Because he lived by one simple truth. You cannot control the world, but you can always control your mind. And once you realize that, the storms may still come, but you'll no longer drown in them. Let's take a deep breath. Right now, wherever you are, pause for a moment. Feel the air entering your lungs. Notice your thoughts trying to wander. That's your mind doing what it always does, thinking. You see, the problem isn't that we think too much. It's that we rarely think well. Epictetus believed that the untrained mind is like an untrained horse, wild, reactive, easily frightened. But once you train it, once you teach it to move with discipline and direction, it becomes your greatest ally. And that's what this final part is about, mastering the mind. Not by force, but by understanding. Epictetus used to tell his students that philosophy wasn't about theory, it was training. Just like the body grows stronger through resistance, the mind grows stronger through challenge. When you face discomfort, fear, or uncertainty, that's your training ground. That's your mental gym. Think of overthinking as a mental exercise gone wrong. You're using the muscle, but with no direction. You're lifting the same thought over and over again, exhausting yourself instead of growing stronger. So what's the Stoic fix? Structure your thinking. Give your thoughts a purpose. When you feel trapped in overthinking, write this down. What am I thinking about? Can I act on it? If yes, what's my next step? If no, can I let it go? Simple, direct, powerful. This is how you transform noise into clarity. Epictetus taught that thoughts are meant to lead to action, not anxiety. He said, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. That means, stop trying to think your way into peace. You have to live your way into it. If you're overthinking that conversation, have it. If you're overthinking that project, start it. If you're overthinking whether you're ready, you'll never know until you act. You see, fear feeds on inaction. Every time you hesitate, the mind creates new doubts to protect you. But the moment you move, even a small step, fear begins to shrink. And in that movement, your thoughts realign. They stop being your enemy and become your compass. One of the most beautiful things Epictetus ever said was this: seek not for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly. At first, it sounds like giving up, but it's not. It's liberation. Acceptance doesn't mean liking everything that happens. It means you stop wasting energy fighting reality. Because reality doesn't care about your expectations, it simply is. Think about how many times you've suffered not because of what happened, but because you wished it didn't. That's where overthinking hides, in resistance. In the stories we tell ourselves about how things should have been. But the moment you say, this is what it is, your thoughts stop spinning in circles and start settling like calm water after a storm. Epictetus often spoke about attention, about bringing your awareness back to this very moment. He said, no great thing is created suddenly. Meaning, peace doesn't come from one grand realization. It's built moment by moment, by choosing to be here, not trapped in yesterday or tomorrow. So right now, just try this. Take one deep breath. Feel your body where you sit. Notice your surroundings. This is the present. And in this space, overthinking cannot survive. Because when your mind is truly here, it can't wander into what-ifs. It can't spiral into regret. Presence is your shield against chaos. Let's make this real. Here's how you can live stoically every day, like Epictetus would have wanted. 1. Morning reflection. Before you check your phone, ask, what's in my control today? Write it down. That's your field of action. Ignore the rest. 2. Midday pause. When stress hits, step back and breathe. Remind yourself, this event isn't good or bad. My thoughts make it so. 3. Evening journaling. Reflect on your day like Marcus Aurelius did. Where did you lose your peace? What will you do differently tomorrow? This simple practice rewires your brain. It transforms awareness into calm. and calm into wisdom. One of the hardest truths Epictetus taught is this: the more you cling, the more you suffer. The more you surrender, the freer you become. We fear surrender because we think it means losing control. But in truth, it's the only way to regain it. Because when you stop trying to control what's outside of you, you finally gain mastery over the one thing that's always been within your reach, your mind. And that's where peace lives. If Epictetus could speak to you right now, he'd probably say, "You are disturbed not by things, but by the view which you take of them. You're not your anxious thoughts. You're the one who observes them. You're the stillness beneath the storm." Every time you pause, breathe, and remember what's in your control, you honor his wisdom. You live as he lived. So the next time your mind starts to spiral, do what he would do. Step back. See clearly. Choose peace. Because the goal of Stoicism isn't to stop thinking, it's to think rightly. Not to escape life, but to meet it with calm courage. Overthinking loses power when you live from wisdom. And wisdom, as Epictetus showed us, begins the moment you stop reacting and start understanding. So, if you struggle with overthinking, remember this: you're not broken. You're human. Your mind just needs guidance, not punishment. Start small. One breath, one thought, one action. And like Epictetus, you'll learn that the world may be chaotic, but within you, there can always be stillness.